There's nothing more humbling and inspiring
and attractive
than witnessing somebody be truly and uniquely exceptional.
Except, of course, for their journeys. Maybe it's luck.
Maybe it's genetics.
Maybe it's work ethic.
Scott and I wanted to see if we could discover what makes some of the universe's most incredible humans the successes they've become, and ultimately find out exactly how they became
so good.
So good. How did you do it? How did you do it? You're so good.
Hi, you guys. Welcome back to You're So Good, where we interview the best of the best and figure out how they became so amazing. Today's guest is an internet legend, content creator, podcaster, YouTuber, TikToker, millions of followers, subscribers on all platforms you can think of. He recently started a podcast called Sweet Boys with his co-host, Andrew Sawicki, that blew up instantly. Kind of jealous. He's also a pro at everything anime, Marvel, and Harry Potter. Welcome, Garrett Watts.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here.
We're so happy
We're
to
happy
have
you're
you.
here.
This is so fun. I wish that and a part of me wishes this was a video podcast just because this is so fun. This dynamic
Yeah.
is so cool to even just
Yeah.
step in on right now with your beautiful house and your beautiful boyfriend over here.
And
That's
beautiful
smart.
Cool
Baba.
friends and
Yeah.
this is the dog.
I know
running
we've
around.
been doing all these outdoor podcasts, obviously because of COVID, and it's honestly fun because we're just like, when do I sit outside on your deck?
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
until this.
I feel like this is the most fun I've had in like a year because just to be around people.
There are
like
other
this.
humans?
Oh my God!
You know when like you let a dog out of the dog park and it starts like just frantically
Freaking
running
out.
around. Just
That's
being like,
us right now.
Yes, I mean,
Yes.
this is a delight.
No,
Also, that was such a sweet intro. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
No,
I am such a fan.
Oh.
I've been really excited for this, mainly because I just want to like soak up all the positive energy you give the world.
Yes.
First question, how are you feeling about WandaVision?
Oh, wait, are you serious? I get to talk about
Wait,
something.
what is that?
It's so Rozzi to be like, what is WandaVision? Well, no, it's a Marvel show on Disney Plus, and I just wanted to get your thoughts because I've been obsessed.
This is so fun. I can't believe I get to actually talk about this. You've opened up like okay. No. I'm obsessed. And Wanda has always been my favorite Avenger since Age of Ultron.
Hello,
Yeah.
you and Mark are dating. I'm
Everyone-
out.
Sorry, it's WandaVision? Or
Wait, can we call this Garrett Watts and Mark are dating or something like that?
That's the title of
really
the episode.
Clickbait.
It's
title.
called WandaVision, and the two main characters are Wanda and Vision. But it's also
Got
like
it.
Oh, I can't.
WandaVision.
Yeah, how do you describe the tone of that show quickly? It's
it's kind of like evolution of TV. In a way, like
Cool.
I that's simplifying it, obviously, but
Yeah.
they like do like a 50s theme for the first episode, and then 60s, and then
Cool.
yeah.
It is. I'm enraptured by it. No, I'm really obsessed with it right now because Wanda's my favorite Avenger. I love her ever since she came out of that. Well, it's a whole. I sometimes I don't know where to draw the line with nerd stuff
Just-
because I
Don't
just
draw any lines here. The whole point of this podcast is like to feel cozy.
No, I
inside,
asked that
so-
question first because I wanted to get your nerd take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that for like 2 hours. So you'll probably have to just be like, all right, shut up now.
The latest episode was amazing.
Oh yeah, it changes. I was like, I was telling someone about it yesterday, and I was like, it not only changes the future of Marvel, but the future of the entertainment industry as a whole.
You sound like Mark.
She was like, okay, sir, just give me your Starbucks order. Just
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the like reveal at the end of the last
Yeah,
episode?
and so
I have no idea what you're talking about to such a degree that any spoiler
Wait, here we go.
won't even be a spoiler.
He's about to talk about this episode, so if you haven't watched it, pause the podcast.
pause
Yeah.
the podcast, or maybe skip ahead like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So I, the Pietro, you know, him being on the show as Quicksilver, Evan Peters Quicksilver.
Right.
No, that blew my mind because yeah, if
Combined Worlds,
It
the
combi-
Fox
it-
version.
and that's blowing my mind. If I get Michael Fassbender as Magneto in the Marvel universe, I people throw this phrase around. I literally do not know what I'll do. Like I will just need to like
My nana,
you-
my nana's 96, and she has such a crush on Michael Fassbender. That's the one thing of that whole sentence that I understood.
me
so.
and your
You contributed.
me and your Nana would.
She loves him.
Yeah, we'd hit it right off. That's amazing.
Last question about WandaVision, then we'll actually be real. Sorry.
This is like when I talk about The Bachelor on podcasts.
Do you think that she is in control of all this, or there's some bigger, deeper, more menacing thing?
Dude, this is one of those things where I'm like, you don't want to do this, Scott. Trust me. No. So I think so. She's always been, if you're familiar with like the House of M comic, book, the storyline. So she's always been the most powerful people say that she's more powerful than the Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey's evolution.
Right.
And because she basically with a couple words did a very, very, very powerful thing in the Marvel universe. Point is, I think that I think someone is containing her. I think that someone with the best of intentions, because no one's being killed in the show. No one's being murdered. I think people are being a little tormented. But I think that someone with the best of intentions, I'm going to guess, Doctor Strange or someone, when he saw the results of the final Endgame battle and what Tony had to do and everything, I think he also foresaw the aftermath of what would happen with Wanda and needed to contain her somehow because she would do something so explosively powerful in her grief that he needed to distract her, maybe just to buy some time or something. So I think that's what's happening, is that she's just being sort of like quarantined for the greater good. And it's like kind of crappy, and someone's doing it. I don't think it's Doctor Strange, by the way, but I think it is someone doing it. Yeah.
Mark has a theory that the best friend that's always around, that was like, should I take it from the top?
Catherine Hahn. Oh my God.
That she is like Agatha, some like
the witch
sorcerer.
Agatha, it's. Yeah, but
Rozzi is just like asleep over here. She's just on her phone.
Yeah, I love the idea of this all being a weird, elaborate.
Agatha, totally. Agatha is such a shady bitch.
Agatha's my queen. Like trying to roll with it. Yeah.
Not to use this as a smooth transition, but I will just say that this, when I was observing this, it really like reinforced like my impression of you, that you're like so diverse in your abilities and interests. Like when I watch your videos, I'm like, the amount of talents involved in the first 20 seconds. Like there's like first of all, there's just your performance energy and like your clear charisma. And then there's like your video editing. And then there's like your whole vision for the whole thing. And then there's the music. And then there's all the like, animations and all the, I mean, there's just like, there's not to mention like all the content of what you're actually talking about and doing. And so I'm always just like, I find, and maybe this is like the nature of YouTube, but I'm curious, like how you identify creatively, like what you think you are.
That's a good question.
That is really, thanks for expressing that. That's really sweet, and obviously I'm really flattered. And yeah, my kind of secret to like keep on making things is to like never ever ever think about it. So, but
that's good advice.
That's really cool.
It is. I can say a little bit more about that, because I feel like when people think about it too much, it leads to their like literal downfalls, not to sound too dramatic.
Yeah.
But it is kind of interesting, because at my best, my very best, my channel is just like an amalgamation of everything that I think and do. So when people ask me, I do YouTube for a living. Oh, what do you do? I say, I don't know. I say I just kind of like invite people.
It's kind of liberating.
Yeah. I just kind of invite people into my head for these short vignettes, adventure style kind of fun videos, and then they're done, and then that's my job. And then they're like, okay, I don't get it. And I'm like,
I feel like that's a skill in itself.
Absolutely.
Because like obviously you're the best at a lot of things, but I think that a skill that is really impressive about you is that you're able to be like, I just do what I'm feeling in the moment, because it's so human nature to overthink everything.
And especially like what's
do.
funny, it's on this podcast, it's like all about work ethic and like following your dreams. A lot of like the themes a lot of the time are like focus and practice and like
discipline.
Intense, yeah. Which I'm not saying you don't still have, but I think it's a really important aspect that we haven't really talked about, which is like the power of like following your instincts and the power of like fun almost.
This is such a nice, really, what a fun time this is. Thank you guys so much for having me on. This is so cool to talk about this stuff. It's interesting. When I'm editing, my videos, for instance, or even doing my videos, all I think about it, this sounds like such a strange analogy, but stick with me for like 2 seconds on this. I used to be a wedding DJ and for like a long time. And it was so interesting because all you did with like the dance floor was sort of like read the energy. And there's like, it was almost this weird spell you were under to make everything work. So you'd be like, okay, I can ease into like Get Me Bodied by Beyonce right now. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a little bit risky. I'm probably going to lose 20% of the dance floor. It was this weird kind of energy wave.
Wow, yeah.
And so I feel like editing is the same thing. It's like I almost check out and I just like submit to this like wave of energy. It's not like to even like talk about it as though it's some tangible skill makes me feel a little bit impostery. Like, oh, let me tell you, my technique is really born of. It's like,
but editing is like an extremely important skill.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean when I say that my secret is to never think about it, because like. There's this really cool this have you ever read the book Four Agreements? There's this really interesting ideology in it, which I really want to, something that I want to do in 2021, and I apologize, my communication style is like 30 different thoughts.
No, I'm obsessed
It feels like you. I love it. It's exactly what I expected.
I love, there's a lot of people on the internet, right? And something that I want to do moving forward in 2021 is sort of like connect those people like I just got a new place and I'm so excited to have really healthy conversations with other creators on the internet. I want to have like this weird like once a month thing at my house where like everyone comes and like has coffee in like the mornings and there's like all these silver pots and everything and we can all just like talk about what this means to be online.
Not
Because
to self-invite, but I'll be there.
no, please, are you kidding me?
Can't wait.
No, but it sounds like such fun because I feel like there's so many really bad ideas when it comes to the way that people are on the internet. As we all know here, there's
the
so
internet
many,
is terrifying.
there's so many pressures. There's so many things that we do. And a lot of creators online, they just start to adapt this really, really, really spooky idea of how they're going about it. And they start to believe their own echo chamber. And when that hits your ears so many times and then back to the walls and then back to your ears, back to the walls, it can create a really haunting person. And I've seen it happen many times. And it's interesting because my approach to it is like, don't think about it. And also don't believe anything that anyone says about what you make. So for instance, if someone says, oh, you're really good at what you do, you're a genius. That's the exact same comment as like, you're terrible at what you do.
Absolutely.
You suck.
Yeah,
Because
staying outside of yourself.
Staying outside.
It's like a monk mentality.
Or bringing yourself to the middle. I've also heard it described that way. Like any extreme you're hearing is wrong. Or not as wrong, is extreme. Like if anything that feels incredibly good or incredibly bad, maybe bring yourself to the middle. It's somewhere more neutral than that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
like
kind
that.
of interesting. Although that is really nice when it's like a little different when people in your own life or people in front of you are
Of course.
expressing it, because then it's like you can sort of really look them in the eyes and go, oh wow, but the internet is full of so many weird projections like that
Of
to where you
course.
just kind of go, okay, well that's not what, gonna affect me necessarily. Because one time my favorite musician in the world, his name is James Blake. He was asked about that, like, what is it like to be in the studio with Kanye West and all these incredible people, And he was like, oh, I really try not to think about it. He's like, because those people started listening to me when I was making my album in my kitchen.
Yeah.
He was like, when I was completely alone and completely broke. He's like, that's why they like me. So he was like, why am I going to try to soil that beautiful thing about me with like their projections or their opinions or their this? Or I'm probably paraphrasing what he's saying, but you know what I
No,
mean.
it makes sense though. I feel
Yeah.
like if you idolize people too much, it's like you lose touch of what initially made you love them in the first place.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I find that sometimes this is actually very hard for me because I'm kind of like a natural born trier. Like I really try. Like that's kind of my instinct is to really try even when it's painful and never give up. And I like that quality in myself. But frankly, whenever I hear this kind of like you so embody this opposite kind of perspective of just like really kind of allowing it to flow naturally, and rather than thinking about what you're doing and what you're making or analyzing what you're doing and if quote unquote is it working, blah blah blah, it's just kind of more of like a natural process of like letting it come to you almost.
How did you develop that skill?
Well, I don't know if it's something that I ever did. Well, I mean, sometimes cautionary tales, just seeing the world around you and kind of going like, I don't want that for myself. There's so many times where people just need to look around at those people that are telling them, this is what you should do, or this is what, how you should create. And you kind of go, I don't trust the source.
Yeah.
You can look at the person and go,
Absolutely.
With all due respect, it's not like supposed to be some shady thing of like, no, but it's just like, nah, I can kind of like go my own way.
Yeah.
I really, really, really love creators that go their own way. I'm really into people in general that don't, I know it sounds a little typical, but I really mean it, but that don't do the status quo, that don't go show up to like, check this box, check this box, check this box.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to fall into that because anxiety makes you want to be like, let me follow the greats.
Or like fear-based decision making. That's a thing for me is fear-based. What if if I don't do the X, Y, or Z? Does that mean that I won't get this thing that matters to me? And I always catch myself, and I'm a recording artist, and I've been signed and dropped and had lots of ups and downs. And one thing that I always return to is kind of an instinct in myself that I fight is the like fear-based.
Interesting.
I have to appease this person. And if they're telling me this, well, maybe I can appease them this way. And I am so aware that it doesn't help me.
Oh,
but it's not easy. I think it's a lot of people out there, it's really hard to actually trust your own taste, your own voice and instincts. It's like people say that all the time. But I think to actually in practice do what you feel is right is so hard.
Well, yeah. And you build up like this courage to do what you want to do. And then one single like comment that you see first, you're like, of course.
Right.
That's negative.
Right.
You're like, of course.
Right.
I'm like
the
trash.
fear. I think sometimes the people that seem, it's funny, this is like a crazy example, but sometimes I watch Joe Biden and I'm like, you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. Like during the election, I was like, how important this is for you to not mess up or die or like get even a cold, it seems. Like the amount of pressure on him, I was like, that is insane. But he seems to have, to be fairly like calm, you know? And I always think, and again, this is so ridiculous, I'm just guessing based on nothing, but his story is so tragic. I always think that he's lost kind of the worst thing to lose, that it kind of makes him kind of be like, he has nothing to lose, you know? So there's no fear of like, to me, he looks like someone who's knows that he can withstand anything, therefore he's not afraid of anything.
Which is inspiring.
Yeah. You guys find out you made a huge mistake. I just go, you know that election was stolen, right?
We're like, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Moving on.
I'm so glad you guys gave me a platform to talk about this. So the voting machines were actually hacked.
Have you heard of Brazil?
Let me tell you about this QAnon.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's terrifying.
Something with babies.
Yeah.
But I'm not positive.
Murdered babies.
Oh God! I'm
think.
sorry I said it.
I don't know.
I just saw it in the headlines. No, that is an interesting perspective. Yeah, he seems very strong, and thank goodness we have him right now. That's awesome. I don't know. My mind is in so many places with this. Yeah, but I understand that fear-based thought can lead to the dreaded analysis paralysis. Because that stops so many people from creating great things. And you two, and do you do singing as well? No, I wasn't
I have a
sure,
secret
sorry.
theory that he's good at singing.
That Mark is good at
I
singing.
should have
But he
said,
won't do it.
I'm sorry, that was bad podcast etiquette. I turned to Mark. Mark, I should have said, Mark, do you do singing as well? But
We don't even know podcast etiquette.
Yeah, we have no
You're
podcast
teaching us at this
etiquette.
point.
oh,
Yeah.
please, no. But it is really interesting because you, as recording artists, I can't imagine the vulnerability and the rejection and some of the stuff that you deal with. Now, it's easy for me to sound noble and go, when I see a comment online, I can really disregard it. You two don't have that choice. You have to be in studios using the most intimate thing you have, your voice, putting so many emotions, so many things into that, and dealing with people's ideas, dealing with the pressures, dealing with technical details, all these different things. So it's easier for me. But
I think what you do is really vulnerable. I think you're really sharing a lot of your, interests and your passions and your daily life and your thoughts on stuff. I mean, I know what you mean. But I think you still, you're an artist.
But
still.
but it's easier for you two to get into that analysis paralysis state. Because my friend Vaughn Smith is his name. He's like an amazing singer.
Oh my God, I know him.
Oh, I love that guy.
He's insane.
He's just great. And yeah, I've known him since I was like 17 or something.
No way.
And we're just like these friendly sort of soulmates. Not in that way.
cute. Yeah.
Nothing like gay or whatever, dude.
Yeah, fuck that.
It's like me and my best friend Tatty were also soulmates.
Yeah.
I get it, but not like nothing gay or whatever, dude. You know?
But no, he's so great because he lives in so many different places all the time. We're those friends that can get on the phone once every 6 months and just be like, not a moment has passed. But yeah, he talks so much about that, how there's been so many times over his career that people have gotten in the room. And by in the room, he sort of means in his head too. And been like, no, you got to take it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way.
Totally.
Yeah.
And he just came to a point where he was like, screw everyone. I'm doing it this way. You know what I mean? And he's been there for years now.
That happens in the studio quite literally.
Yeah.
Like if there is 6 people in the studio with you, that made me think of the Lady Gaga. If there's 100 people in a room.
Yeah.
No, but if there's 6 people in the studio with you and they're all just kind of casually and innocently giving their advice on what you should do vocally.
Yeah.
I will be the most confident person at the start and be like, singing's what I do. I'm going to kill this.
Yeah.
I have these ideas. But the second, like the third person gives a random contradicting thought.
Yeah.
I just shut down and turn into like that little insecure boy, Scott, from my childhood. And then I'll like feel so mean, but I'll be like, I kind of need everyone to leave. So I can get back to myself.
Absolutely. I mean, I heard this story. I read this article about the Bonnie Raitt song, I Can't Make You Love Me, which Bon Iver does the most beautiful cover of that. Have you heard his
song.
cover?
No.
Oh my God, you would love it if you love Bon Iver. And if you like James Blake, I feel like you'd like that cover.
Yeah.
But I read this article. First of all, this is such a divergence, but I Can't Make You Love Me. I think a lot of people know that song. I can't make you love me. Like it's really like an emotional ballad.
I want to hear your version of it for longer.
Well, why don't you record it right now?
But it was written by these like country guys who read in the article, like a headline, like this guy shot his husband and was like, I can't make her love me. And they wrote like, I can't make you love me was like this thing.
Yeah.
This is totally off the track. We're going
What is
left
it? What is a track?
turns, but whatever. I'm coming home. And when they were in the studio and Bonnie Raitt heard it and they had this piano version and she was totally moved by it, she was like, I need everybody out. I'm only going to sing this once because I know, and she knew in her bones and in her blood that she could not, that her first performance was going to be the most authentic. And if anyone was around, she would be too affected by their energy and by their influence to deliver what she like felt inside of her. And whenever I listen to that song, I really can feel that. Like I can hear the rawness and like the freshness of it before a million people came in and like, try this, try this, try this. And there is something to like just going with like what you have off the surface. That's just you.
That instinct, that is so interesting. Do you feel like you bring that too, Scott, when it comes to, I don't know, that in general? That
Sometimes that reminds me of like the term flow or whatever. Like, you know, when people play video games and try to get the high score and they get obsessed.
No, I don't know that.
Oh, yeah. Do you know when people play?
so that's like some of my weird little, not secret on the internet because I don't care. But yeah, I'm like such an avid gamer, like a huge gamer, play every game that comes out. Like I'm obsessed with games. So sorry, I will bury
about
that
the
part
flow.
of me for
Don't bury it. Reveal it. You guys enjoy.
I made that like side example of gaming. You get in this flow. There's like an actual like psychological research on it.
Wow.
But I feel like she knows in that instance.
Yes.
She knew like I know how to get into my like flow and do something that's insane.
I just want to say the fact that you, Grammy award-winning musician, brilliant artist, creative genius, chose a video game reference to explain getting in the flow.
Well, it just popped in my mind and I wanted to mention it.
Did you two see Soul by chance?
Yes. I loved it.
I love that they explored that specific area that you were just speaking about when they go into that place. That was one of the most interesting parts of the film when they went into that realm and they said, you see all these people, there are all these people floating, singing, playing violins, playing video games, you know, and they said, this is a place that people get into when they're creating, when they're in that like artistic
I love that part too.
mode. And then the most interesting part is when he said, but it can consume them too and turn them into these dark entities. Cause I was like, thank God. That is so cool that Pixar just said that. Cause we've all seen that happen when people go, there's a difference between, people should be so dynamic. There's a difference between having something and letting it define you and having something and just letting it be part of your repertoire of being a human.
Totally.
I'm a huge advocate of like when people are feeling like they're in a creative rut, they're analysis paralysis, fear-based, doing all this stuff. I go, take it easy. Like go watch a movie. Here, take this old Betty Davis movie. Here, go rent a cabin. Go drink for like a week. Don't worry about the pressure. Don't do any of this stuff. It's not sustainable.
Yeah,
just
very Buddhist of you.
Well,
I know, and
is.
that also hits me so hard because I feel like my whole life I have always identified as the singer.
I feel like
I got attention for it as a young kid.
Scary.
It made me feel like I belong, and so I became obsessed with singing and getting perfect at it. And then I had success in singing. And so now it's been my identity for 30 years. And now it's like, I feel like I'm finally at a point this year where I'm like, I am more than just the vocalist guy.
Yeah.
And you so are too. And this is what people can't do is at what point can you? And if you can't do it, who can? It's hopeless for all of us. But if you can't go, I have seen enough success at this point to go, you know what? There's other parts of me. And I want to explore that. Like I've really been into pottery and I want to get a pottery wheel and start spinning. And see what that happens. Because that sounds like such a beautiful.
I also think that I learned this sometimes when I'm like so focused on a goal, especially as a creative person, you forget about the input. If you're so focused on the output, you forget about the input. And I find that like, if you don't really like live your life, and that includes like fucking up, making mistakes, all the like ugly quote unquote stuff. I feel like that's a really necessary like piece of the equation to making art or even just being like a good empathetic person.
That's a huge thing. Yeah, and I'm so glad that people on the internet are getting better at that. Speaking about that openly.
Can I ask you what's your what's your like goal for starting it? When you started a YouTube channel, did you have a goal? Do you have one now, or is it always just follow that creativity?
Thanks. That's so interesting. By the way, I don't know if this is what's doing this to me, but the fact that you two are asking me these questions and like, I mean, you two are so amazing. I feel like I'm almost like shutting myself down. This a beautiful singer, all the accomplishments.
Don't shut yourself down.
No. I feel like there's this weird thing. I'm like creating this wall in my head that's like, okay, don't even like just answer these questions because these people are asking you them. But you two are so.
I want you to say. We want you to say the whole point.
I also do that too.
Yeah, I'm just
But I'm already having like the greatest time because you're leading us into the coolest places. Like I just feel like it's exactly what I wanted to learn about. So don't stop.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear. But just so you know, I always just want to, ironically, I want to shut up and just hear about other people. But thank you for asking. That's really sweet and like, Thank you. I started my YouTube channel in 2012, and I started doing videos for this drag queen named Coco Peru. I was doing these strange videos like Coco goes to Target or Coco plays Grand Theft Auto 5.
And I had seen all those, but I didn't know they were you.
Yeah, those were
Which
my
is so wild. Yeah,
And
so it
you
was
and you
amazing.
were was it your idea? Was it like
yeah,
what was the
her manager was like, hey, I want to do these videos. And I kind of got this idea of like, this could be so interesting. Like this drag queen who's like of a different generation.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I kind of thought, okay, this is really cool. Like, let's make this OG drag queen a little bit more like internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we could do this and this and this and stuff. So it was just a little like kind of collaboration between me and her
Amazing.
great manager.
And kudos to you on that, because I feel like a lot of drag queen videos don't totally translate to the internet.
And
I feel like that
yes.
one is a gay staple.
Yeah.
So, and one of the only. So
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive that you were behind it.
Well, and you know what? It's kind of I don't know, like I go out on dates and then guys bring up like drag queen and stuff. Well, I haven't been on a date in a year plus
Right,
now.
of course.
Because what is dating
Yeah,
anymore?
yeah.
I saw this tweet the other day that said like I forgot how to kiss. I'm certain, and I was like, oh, I feel you.
Me retweet.
Yeah, but no, it's I go out on dates sometimes and guys are like, oh, drag queen, and I've not seen RuPaul's Drag Race. Sorry,
Drag Race?
like so I'm not really
Yeah.
part of that.
I feel
So-
like you'd love it.
I'm sure I would. I've seen like moments of them doing like Grey Gardens and stuff that are really personally iconic to me and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So it's cool that they're keeping those things alive. I feel like it was interesting to come into that not knowing what the right thing to do for like drag queen content was, and to be like, okay, what if you just play Grand Theft Auto 5? Like to kind of project my own interest on this.
Totally.
And that's so powerful. I mean, that makes me think of like, I knew nothing about acapella going into this. I just wanted to be on the show to sing with my friends.
Yeah.
I did not know acapella. I wasn't a fan. And our whole approach to acapella was completely none of the rules.
Right.
And that is
Interesting.
exactly why we like
Why it
blew
works.
up and became the most iconic acapella group
I
is
also,
because we took that approach.
Because you followed your. I also think sometimes that's a reminder that like everyone's more similar than we think. That like if you just follow what you like and you're like, I like this, then other people like it.
Other people will like
and that's
it.
that's always so cozy to me because I'm like, oh, like I wrote this song called Uphill Battle, right? That's basically just like talking shit about myself. Like these are all the things that are annoying about me, more or less, in like a pretty way, but whatever.
Yeah.
And I get so many people being like, that's exactly how I feel about myself. And it's always such a fulfilling feeling for me to be like, oh, I'm not alone. I wrote this in a really personal place and I wasn't thinking about, will other people like this? Will other people relate to this? It was just, this is me needing to understand myself. And then other people are like, oh, wow, that's exactly, I'm like, oh, so we're all just feeling the same feelings.
That is so
You
great
know?
to hear you say that and to hear you say that about people responding to that, because at the end of the day, everyone has their little bits of advice they love to give. I do. We all do here. Like these kind of like approaches to creativity. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is to lead by example. You can talk till you're blue in the face. But to just do what you do, and by the way, I'm on no high horse with this. I need to do this all the time.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
be like, no, people will see what I do, and hopefully it'll inspire others. But yeah, that I will say one thing that always sort of leaves like a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't mean any shade by this or anything, but it is something that I just go, damn it, why? Like I wish I could just enter that person's life for 1 second and be like, why did you put this out there? And what I'm speaking to is people projecting out on social media like their obsession with analytics, to be like, guys, did you see my video today? I don't know if you got notifications. I just want to make sure because I wasn't sure. The numbers seem a little low. I'm just like, that is setting the most.
Am I
rancid-
shadow banned? Like,
Am I shadow banned? What am I doing? The
Yeah.
analytics, the demographics. I'm like, just shut up and make something cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just deal with that with yourself, with your manager, with your YouTube contact, with your whatever. Don't put that on your people.
Yeah, it's like, what's
Right.
that? There's a quote that I'm going to butcher that's like, it's some basketball thing. I don't know anything about basketball.
This
I'm some
happens every
basketball
episode.
person.
You're a basketball person?
No, I'm not. It's
Oh.
a problem. But I heard this quote once and I liked it. And it was somebody famous talking about something in basketball, I think free throws.
Yeah.
And they're like, when you're making a free throw, you can't think about the basket.
Yeah.
You just think about the throw.
Yeah.
Like
it ties back to flow.
No,
you know?
that's a very great analogy. Everything
Yeah.
we're saying here is very hyper connected.
Yeah,
It's just this
definitely.
idea. And like I said, I don't see someone who does that. I mean,
Yeah.
and think, oh, you suck. I don't think anything like that. I think you're great. I just want to like hug them and just be like, stop. It's
Yeah.
okay. Just do your thing.
Yeah.
Like,
And also,
I think
a check.
sorry.
No, you go.
I think that's why TikTok is so successful.
Yeah.
Because the only things that really get to the For You page and shine through aren't like these perfect produced moments. It's just kind of whatever
Human.
feels natural and human.
Yeah, that's by the way, I want to say something real quick. Andrew Sawicki, who's my co-host, he was like, I think Scott is the best person at social media in the world.
Why?
It was so interesting
It's
because
true.
because when he first said it, I was like, oh, I never thought about it like that. And then I thought about it for a moment. And I was like, the TikToks with your like everything, the music, the success, the YouTube, the different channels. I was like, oh my God, he is. That's so
That's
funny.
actually what, first of all, that makes me feel so good that you said that and that
Yeah.
he said that. But
was like, he's so-
I
yeah.
ironically like don't feel that way. I feel like, you know, you see others creators and they have these crazy personalities and they put forward this like whole front that's so amazing and likable. And I'm like, I wish I had more of that. So I feel like it's just a testament to.
I remember Scott's Twitter. I gotta be honest, like sometimes I feel like I remember your Twitter like 10 years ago. And I remember texting you or telling you like your tweets are my favorite. I love your tweets. And you said something like, I just feel like the more you tweet, like the more followers you get. And I was like, that's not true. That's just because you're really funny. Like I remember that. And it was an early sign of like what I completely agree. I just think there's like you are following your interest. You're like, that's funny to you. You like that song. You want to do that thing. You're not guessing, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting but I just wanted to say that's like so nice how good you are at this. And, you know, Mark, you too. It's just, you guys are so good at just being hyper available and there and stuff. I mean, I'm so cagey on the internet that it's nice for me to see. We're really working on that this year of just being like, dude, be present more. Like, just put your stuff out there. Be a little more vulnerable.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't post on Instagram as much as I would have expected you to post on Instagram with no judgment. I'm just curious. I actually kind of respect it. I was like, I want to post less on Instagram, you know? Like, there was something about it.
I know. Instagram's developing this nature of like scary to me.
Yeah. Well, it's a fine combination of cripplingly insecure and no. Honestly, I don't really post. I think I've made like, I don't know, 5 posts in the last like year and a half or 2. It's nothing, which I don't love, and I do want to post there more. So yeah, that's kind of what I mean. It's just you know, posting more and being more available. But I think that you know, it's funny. Like the past few years for me have been a little muddled, and I feel like only recently have I really been like, oh, this is what I do on the internet. This is what I want to do. I feel like I haven't even gotten started yet, which is
what a good feeling.
Yeah.
I truly feel that way. I'm just like, when people are like, oh, you like my stuff? I'm like, why? You haven't even seen what I do. Which maybe that's just me being but
I think that's like, I feel the same way about my music. People are like, I love your album. I'm like, you have not heard my new album.
Do you feel that way, Scott? Is that just a universal?
Sometimes I feel that way, that I like have so much more to offer.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, I'm really excited to continue on YouTube, and just because I you know, on my own podcast, I'm getting better at trying to actually get back to a point. Because you asked, what do you want to do in your future of YouTube? And so I've never asked myself that question because I don't want to burden myself with that expectation. And because it's all I've ever done since I was a teenager, since I was 20s, everything. All I've ever done is leaned into what's working in the moment and tried to do my best approach to that.
And it's worked for you. I think that is like an insanely good lesson on this podcast.
Oh, thanks.
I really think it's very Buddhist, honestly. I don't know if you've like paid it. Not that I know that much about Buddhism. Honestly, I've taken 2 of my aunt's Zoom classes about it in the past 2 weeks, so apparently it's on my mind.
An expert.
That's interesting.
But it's resonating with me. Like you're saying, like it feels very present is what it is. Like without attachment to the future, which is, I could not think of something more opposite than me. And in a way that makes me, I'm like, tell me more. Because I think that's so powerful.
I don't want to stand in the way of that sort of like flow state. So I try to get out of my own way with a lot of stuff and don't go, well, in a year I want to do this. And don't even get me started, because the way that people take this into like relationship territory and like all this stuff of like, well, by 28 I want to have 1 kid and be married to this person.
Oh my God, I just had this conversation, and it's different because I'm a woman, so there's like a certain biological aspect. But I was talking to my friend the other day and my therapist about this too. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to be thinking like about marriage and children, and I'm like so horrified by that. I'm like, don't make me think about. I don't want to think about that. That just feels
it's like ingrained
so
in your
oppressive.
DNA.
Yeah, it is. It's like there's some like voice in my head that is not my own saying you're supposed to think about those next steps of your life. And I'm like, but what if that's not where I'm at right now?
And we wonder why, you know, divorce. I turned into like Ellen Green from like Little Shop of Horrors. No, we wonder why divorce rates are so crazy. It's because everyone is on this thing of like, well, I have to do this thing by this age and do, you know, It's like,
says who?
Who?
That's why I'm obsessed with being gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that
because gays don't have kids till they are ready.
Yeah.
That is so funny. My
And
uncle,
straight people have kids when they're like 9.
Yeah.
my gay icons growing up was my Uncle Mike and his husband Eric, and they're all I've ever known for like an example of gay men, and they're just beautiful, cool. And Eric is like a writer. He worked on Futurama as a co-executive producer of Futurama.
Wow.
Like Emmys on the shelf, all that great stuff. And like Mike is a contractor and architect and built his own. They're just amazing. And they have this beautiful family, gorgeous children, so great. Like they lived in Studio City for years. They just moved to Washington. Point is though, I'm so glad to have had them in my life really early on because I don't know. I just kind of went like, oh, that's it. Like, you know, so I don't know why I just ranted about that, but
It's representation. I mean, that's in your own life. That's really helpful.
Yeah. I was also I was raised Mormon too. So
And in Tennessee.
and in Tennessee. So it was a little,
when did you move out here?
Oh, 2000. It's funny. I've been coming out here since I was like 16 because my uncle lived here.
Right.
And so I feel like you've been, you know, quote unquote networking and like, you know, coming to Los Angeles and meeting all of like Eric's writer friends and going to like the Fox Emmy award shows and after parties and meeting all these people when I was really young that I came out here and continued my connections with. Because when I first came out to Los Angeles in 2011, 12, I was like, I was like working on sets as like PA, and I worked like every job in the world out here based on those connections. So
did you feel connected to LA more than Tennessee at that age, or did you?
Oh no, I actually moved from Arizona of all places. I've lived in like so many places.
Okay.
I did the math the other day and figured out that the place I live now, like the roof I have over my head, is the 30th or 31st roof I've ever.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've lived in a lot of places, but no, I've always just knew I would end up in LA. I wanted to be a director initially. I thought by this age I'd be directing Charlie's Angels 3, which
Oh my gosh. We went on a whole like text tangent about Charlie's Angels because it's the best.
I haven't seen the new one.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Like
I'm obsessed with the originals. I mean, the original. I mean, or the Cameron Diaz.
I know what you mean. I'm really, I try to be really, I was going to say diplomatic, but that's not the word. I was going to say I try to be kind because I love giving people the benefit of the doubt.
A lot of people worked on that movie.
A lot of people worked on that movie.
And were inspired.
Seriously, a lot of people worked on that movie. The performances were great. I'm not going to say, oh, this was bad or this was bad, but it kind of breaks my heart because it was just a really weird attempt at Charlie's Angels. But at the same time, I don't hate it, and I also do.
I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I just watched it with the deadpan face.
Well,
the Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore.
It's just, I mean, that
there was just a specific exact amount of camp and like dynamic that was just insanely profound.
And I love I feel like at that age when I was growing up, like there's a certain amount of like built-in misogyny that you have as like younger. I don't know if that's still the case with like Gen Z, but it might have been more of, I was talking with this whole Free Britney, like the movie. I haven't watched it yet.
Last night.
I haven't. Taddy watched it and she was telling me all about it. And like we were just remembering what it was like to be that age and like how like I'm kind of blown away by how much more sexist the world felt when I was 12 than how it does now. And I don't know if I've just grown up more or whatever, but I always felt like Charlie's Angels was a little bit special in its like female friendship, celebrating powerful.
Oh, it aged beautifully.
Strength. Yeah. I love it. I just think it's such a good movie. I just love those movies.
It's really awesome. Yeah, the McG versions, the early 2000s ones were so blindingly confident. They just were unflinchingly confident in their execution of the film. And I think this new one is a little more diplomatic and a little safer. But God bless it.
Not as comedic too.
No,
that's the saddest part.
I know.
I like those early 2000s.
Comedy.
Yeah,
they're so funny. Oh my God, they're so funny.
They're just so
Joey from Friends just being so cute in that movie. I love it.
Oh my God, not you picking probably the worst character in that movie.
That's so funny.
Okay, listen. I think it's funny when Lucy Liu is like, he is so stupid about it. I think that is charming. Sue me.
I've never. Andrew, my friend Andrew Swicky and I, we always do that back and forth, but it'll just be like us, just like, because Andrew and I were basically married, but he's like straight, and we've just been together through 2020, like the whole thing through so much, and so he uses that. We just slaughter that phrase all the time. Like I'll just go to the fridge and get water, and he'll just like be like, "Not you going to the fridge and getting water," and I'll just be like, "Not me raising the water to my lips,
just
and drinking
dragging yourself all day."
All right, you guys, that was the end of part 1 of our conversation with the amazing Garrett Watts. Tune in next week for part 2.
Yes, more of my bullshit.
More of his bullshit.